7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take.
And we not only showcase local entertainment, Arizona's best,
ladies and gentlemen,
but we also try to find great national talent. This is a neat group we saw in LA that came to do our show. I think they've got a lot of talent. They're really going to make it to the top. Please welcome.
let's get ready to
The Clue.
One blast from the past, don't hurt nobody. Are you ready? Clue, 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 clue. No, you want me to play the Clue band I was in the 80s.
For some white boys playing funk is pretty nice.
So when the Clue ended, that's when we got into the whole hair band era, and that's when Hotboxxx came to be.
Welcome to episode 4 of The Big Deal, featuring Kevin Comstock of The Clue. It is locked, Comstocked, and ready to clue.
Yeah, here we go. Back in the game.
What's up, Clunatics?
Oh man, did anyone else get sweaty during that intro? Oh,
Perspiration flows heavy when the big deal's in town.
that was sexy.
I'm telling you, it got a little hard over here.
Yeah. Much love. This is The Big Deal, the Clues podcast. We want to introduce newest member of The Big Deal, actually.
We had him on the phone, but now that he lives in Michigan again, I think he might be on a few more episodes. We got Southwest Cluedo in the Shotgun Love Studios.
Ah, what up, Clunatics?
Yeah, this is going to be huge. Much love to everybody who watched both parts of episode 3 with Sergio of The Clue. We got all the history. That absolutely melted my mind.
That stuff was epic, man. I was blown away.
When he dropped both of those episodes on us, I just couldn't believe how far it reached, how many contacts they made with people.
Props to Sergio for all that. I think Kevin's got some more knowledge for us.
Lots to catch up on, actually, with what happened last year at the Gathering of the Juggalos. We never even touched up on it.
I feel like that was our first positive encounter, honestly, in my experience.
As a group, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, because there wasn't as much hostility back. You know, I feel like the Clue was really.
I mean, the crowd was a little hostile. That was the only thing.
Leave Jared alone.
A little hostile. Anyway, you know, we came there with intentions of kind of definitely showing them that the Clunatics were in full effect and that we weren't going away. You know, he thought maybe a year off and we would have died down. That wasn't the case, though.
This isn't a hobby, all right? Full-fledged Clumedia. We're never letting this go.
So one of my biggest intentions was to go to the autograph tent when they were doing their autograph signing and get him to sign my Clue vinyl. But that got derailed because the person I rode with took off with the car keys where I had the vinyl stashed, and I wasn't able to get it. So instead, we kind of just sat at the campsite and had a little arts and crafts session, you know.
The Clue head PE symbol. This is probably my favorite.
That was all you. I mean, we made a bunch of signs. We made a flag. All kinds of stuff. We were just getting creative.
You know what's funny is like when I was picturing that in my head, I'm thinking of this huge stage, like thousands of people. I'm like, man, I really hope they get noticed. And then I see the video and it looks like 50 people hanging out in front of the stage.
They got the bone because they got the first set of the last day. So it was still daytime and a lot of people weren't even like ready for that day yet. The last day of the gathering, you've already been through some stuff. You know, and a set at 6 o'clock with the blazing sun out.
Why don't you just hold up a sign that says...
You're not ready for the main stage yet.
I bet he was looking out at that crowd and seeing our little gaggle of Clunatics. Like
the video is hilarious.
Looking like the Spartan huddle, you know?
They just walk out and you hear...
Oh, before they even came out on stage, we were out there, you know, yelling, play the Clue, all our usual, you know.
The flag?
Oh, yeah.
We were
waving the giant Clue flag.
People were following us to the stage with the flag waving in the air.
Right, we were like picking up people
troops
on the way there, just walking with all the Clunatics, and Then, so the show started, and man, we caught a bunch of hostility from Head PE fans. It was weird. Like, we were trying to, like, not have any of that, but this little angry ginger kid, man, he was not.
Jared alone.
Punching women.
Well, he's not the one that did that, but somebody did punch punch one of the girls that was with us.
Big
like,
tough guy.
Yeah.
Big tough guy.
Well, the ginger kid's girlfriend punched me a few times, and then tried to stab me with an umbrella all over the clue, man.
Okay, penguin. Oh my God!
But they rocked the shit out of it. Jared, there's a great picture of him laughing at us when they came out. He was just, him and the band, they were just pointing at us like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I meant by, it was the first positive experience. I really felt like Jared didn't give us any hostility. He just smiled and let us do our thing because we let him do his thing, like.
Right. But that's what confuses me, is because the hostility from Jared has seemed to dissipate while it's still continuing from hardcore Head PE fans, and not only his band too, because the gathering went fine without a hitch. There was no incidents minus what happened in the crowd.
Yeah.
You can't really control that, but you went to see Head PE last year.
Well, I don't know what would have happened if I actually would have made it to the autograph tent, because like you said, his bandmates are the ones that seem to be upset about it now. But the one final thought on the gathering, afterwards Jared said that they're never going to play the gathering again, and supposedly it's because I did see it, and you can someone was throwing rocks at them, and that had nothing to do with any of us.
Yeah,
no.
We were there in peaceful protest. We didn't even even participate.
Celebration. We were celebrating the clue in that crowd.
We were protesting that he won't play it. But he did. He acknowledged it. I went to see Head PE this was actually last June, I believe now. It's been so long now. At the Machine Shop up in Flint, great venue. I've seen Head PE there a couple times, actually. It's known for their metal shows. I went in my costume.
Of course.
I had to spread the chlamydia. I had to tell everyone about it. There was a lot of people that had no idea. So I went up there and met up with a couple friends, Lloyd and Caitlin. Went to their boys' house and had a little pre-party. My friend Guy showed up. We went to the show. It was a great time. Afterwards, Jared was signing stuff at their merch table and whatever. And, I went to say, what's up, Dude was totally cool with me. All of a sudden, Trauma comes walking up. That's their drummer, for those of you who don't know. I thought, oh, well, maybe he's coming to join in, but he had a salty look on his face.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man. He was mad about somebody made a Paul Gomes Facebook page. Said that's super disrespectful. You guys are losers.
Right, just putting blame right on you.
I'm like, man, that wasn't me. I don't control what our fans do, man. Like, so somebody made a fake Facebook page.
From what I've seen from the Facebook page anyways, they're not even pretending to be him. Like, it's clearly a joke.
Well, that wasn't the end of it. At that point, my buddy Zane, who knows them personally and just he's from Flint and everything, always really good dude, he kind of got in between it because he was like, he didn't want any trouble starting. And then Greg, their guitar player, comes over and he just, I don't know, he got a little out of line. He said, somebody better get in between us because I'm going to fight this guy. And I was like, no, you're not.
Right?
I just made the point. This doesn't even have anything to do with you. You weren't in the clue. This isn't against you. I got nothing. I got no problem with you.
Right, especially if Jared's like hanging out and he's like cool. Like, he expects that if you're going to be there, you're going to be dressed up like him from the clue.
Every time.
I just don't understand where that hostility is coming from his bandmates. If he doesn't seem to give a crap, why are they flipping out like that? I just don't get it.
Maybe they feel, like we're interrupting their show, we're kind of like spitting on their performance, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I personally try to only yell about the clue between songs.
Right.
I don't want, I'm not there to fuck up their show. I'm there to enjoy the show, but.
Well, that's something I've realized over time too, and it's the same point Jared tried to make to me at Dirtfest, where he was like, I'm not so mad about it. It's just that you can't interrupt my shows. That's not cool. And I agree. You know what? I said that I'm going to stop yelling at them while they're on stage. Like that is disrespectful to interrupt Jared while he's up there doing his thing. Well, that's the thing. I got no problem with any of these people. I respect their work and everything, and I don't understand where all the hostility comes from. I get it. You know, that's the point Greg was trying to make. Like, this is our boy. We got to have his back. And I'm like, but we're not doing anything wrong.
Right, exactly. We're showing love for a band he was in the 80s. They just don't get that. And I think that comes from not understanding, not listening to the big deal, not actually paying attention to what we're doing and focusing on what happened 4 years ago.
Well, despite that, great times were had. Honestly, it was an amazing night.
Yeah, I really wanted to be there. It's unfortunate we couldn't make it, but hopefully in the future they start to see that this isn't going away, and this is not going away. If anything, this is getting bigger, and that's why we're bringing our dude in today, and it's Kevin Comstock, keyboard player from the infamous videos.
Yeah, Kevin was with the band. He didn't join immediately at the start. He stayed with the band through Hotboxxx. We're going to let him give a little background on himself here.
So, yeah, welcome to the big deal, Kevin Comstock of The Clue. What up?
What's happening, everybody?
Dude, how's it
a little
going?
bit early here on my time. California time is like 9:40 or something.
Yeah, right.
Usually we're doing this late at night, so it is a little different.
Yeah, it feels like it. I mean, my voice isn't even working quite yet.
Hopefully you got that coffee brewing, because I need
yeah,
some too.
believe me, I got coffee going big time.
Awesome, dude. Well, introduce yourself and just kind of tell us about who you are and what you're doing now.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name's Kevin Comstock. I've played in a whole bunch of bands. The reason I'm on here today is obviously because I was the keyboardist for The Clue. Went on to The Clue, kind of morphed into Hotboxxx. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that. And then after Hotboxxx, I went and I started an industrial band called Bent. And we recorded a couple songs with a guy named George Tutko, who was like the engineer for Duran Duran or something like that.
Wow.
Nothing ever transpired, and the guy died. So.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, and then Sergio and I and Tony, who was the bass player for Hotboxxx, we formed a band called The 11th Hour.
Was that Tony Centron?
Yeah, Tony Centron.
Okay.
Nice.
And so Sergio, Tony, and I started. We started 11th Hour, and we wrote a few songs. A couple songs are pretty good, and we played one gig, and then it all fell apart after that. I don't want to be a downer, but my mom was diagnosed with cancer the very next day.
Oh, my gosh.
And I couldn't go to any more rehearsals because I had to take care of her.
Right.
Yeah, well, family first, so.
Yeah, that's what happened with 11th Hour. It just fizzled out. It wasn't that anybody wasn't into it. It just fizzled out.
What kind of a band would you say it was?
I would say kind of a Lenny Kravitz.
Huh.
Soulful,
Interesting.
hard rock.
Well, Sergio did touch on the last episode that he was into that soul funk.
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the things that was so fun about playing with Sergio, because he was like the first real funk guitarist that I ever played with. And, he did what we called it chicken scratching, where he's, basically strumming really, really fast in rhythm.
Yeah.
And we used to call it chicken scratching. He's just the best.
So, The Clue, how did you hear about the band and how did you go about joining up with them?
Okay, so this is going to go a little bit deep.
Okay.
Bring it.
We love it.
I went to junior high and high school with Jared's sister, Debbie. And in my high school, I was kind of known as one of the musicians, kind of. So, like, if there was a school function or something, I would occasionally get approached to put a band together. And so my senior year, I was approached to put a band together, and I put a band together with this girl, Allison.
Yeah. We've
We know her.
Allison's the blonde from the photo you have.
Yes.
And that was Sergio's girlfriend. And we didn't have a guitarist at the time, so she said, I'll just bring in Sergio. So we played this breakfast at my high school, and the breakfast that we played the song Middle of the Road from the Pretenders, Burning Up from Madonna,
Oh, my
and
goodness.
Hero Takes a Fall from Bangles.
That's awesome.
Quite a line.
Just FYI, that was our song choices for that time. So I had met Serge, and then basically a bunch of time went by, not even that much, maybe 6 months went by, and I got a phone call, hey, you want to come and audition? And I said, yeah. I was like really happy because, up until then, basically The Clue was my first experience playing in clubs. So, and I had known about them for a long time. In the high school that I grew up in, they would have big parties, and bands would play, and The Clue used to play, and people would call them Clue parties. Hey, there's a Clue party.
Oh, we have Clue parties all the time.
I was just gonna say, man, we have Clue parties.
Oh, yeah. It was, and so I had seen The Clue at parties, like, I don't know.
And then they
4 or
asked you
5
to join them. That's so cool.
Well, if you get more, I saw like 4 or 5 times in different parties and stuff. And then one of my friends, Eric, when we had nothing to do, Eric knew them, so we'd go to the rehearsals. So I would go sit in at Clue rehearsals and just listen for like 2 years before I even joined the band.
That's sweet.
That's okay. That explains something. I was curious. It sounded like you knew them at the start, but then you didn't join the band for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't join the band for a long time. I was just a fan. I was a follower.
What were you doing in that time where you knew about the band, but you hadn't joined them yet?
I was in high school.
So you're just kind of chilling.
Yeah, I was 18 when I joined the Clue. Yeah, I wasn't even 21.
So you're a little younger than the rest of the guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was one of the things that made me so happy. I felt like, hey, I've arrived, man. I'm the young guy here.
Right, and I'm sure that sitting in on those practices, watching them play, being such a skilled musician, that when it came time to play the music, you already kind of knew it because you were there.
Yeah, and one of the things that was cool about the Clue, and Sergio touched on it, is that it really was the influence of everybody.
Right.
Jared and Sergio wrote all the songs, or 90% of them. Darren wrote a couple of bass lines that became parts of songs. I decided pretty early on, since I'm not a primary songwriter, that I was going to take a side role. Too many cooks, man. You can just make everything a mess, make a bad meal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so from the start, though, Jared and everybody was like, you can write any keyboard parts you want, as long as, isn't too sucky,
Right.
And so basically I came up with all the little happy keyboard parts in Clue songs.
Which is great.
I actually wanted to know, especially now knowing that you started as a fan, what was it like finding out that there was a Facebook page dedicated to this band?
I thought it was the most hilarious thing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It just looked like it's pretty funny that something, from 30 years ago, because I think that video is actually from 87.
Yep, 87.
So it's exactly 30 years ago. So It's just funny. It's totally cool. I like the band, and I wish we had a better level of success, but the Clue morphed into Hotboxxx really fast. It was like this whole transition period where we couldn't even hone songs and get them really good because the song styles were changing so quickly. Before
this whole thing started happening, when was the last time you really thought about the Clue?
Oh, I think about the Clue a lot, actually, because I have all the songs digitized.
Yeah.
So every once in a while I make a Clue playlist and I cruise around.
That's awesome.
Nice. Now, how exactly did you find out about the page?
I don't know. I'm thinking that I saw it on Neil from Live Urban Sex Tribe's Facebook page. Yeah, I think I heard about it on there. I'm not positive.
That's sweet. Now, you're all over the place with your playing. Who are your major personal influences?
Well, my favorite band of all time would be Queen.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's just, it's just one of those things, a nostalgic thing. It connected with me in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
So, and since then, not much music could have that impact because that was just the first time I got into music.
Yeah, dude.
Of course, I like Zeppelin. I'm a huge fan of all kinds of music. I play guitar and I play keyboards, and I like the guitar is more fun to play, but the keyboards are more like sweet and icing. I can make things sound sweet and interesting and give them textures. So I like them both, but I play guitar too. And then, so that was what happened in Hotboxxx. When we were becoming Hotboxxx, they said, hey, Kev, you play guitar, bring your guitar next time. So I brought my guitar and it became basically rhythm guitar and keyboards for Hotboxxx.
Everybody got that?
But we were kind of shying away from the keyboards, not so much keyboards.
I was gonna ask you about the writing process and any songs you may have written, but you already said you didn't really have a hand in that.
I wrote the keyboard parts.
Okay.
I didn't write the songs. Obviously, I had influence on arrangements. Hey, let's do a stab there. Let's stop there. Let's make the song go 8 bars longer. That kind of stuff. Everybody contributed.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the composition, it was kind of a collaborative effort.
Yeah, basically Serge and Jared or each one individually would just basically come in with an idea. In fact, Sergio lived pretty far away at the time. He lived in Southgate. We were rehearsing in Buena Park. And on his drive from Southgate to Buena Park, he would think of grooves. And he would run into the rehearsal and he would be like, quiet, everybody quiet, everybody quiet.
I got this idea. Come on.
Yeah, he'd start figuring it out. And then Jared would start singing over it. And then, okay, we got another song. And we had so many songs from the Clue Clue to Hotboxxx.
That's what
it's just-
Sergio told us. He said you guys were in there recording all the time. You just had endless material.
Yeah, and it was funny, and we used to record in an 8-track. Most of the songs you heard are from an 8-track in a guy's garage.
Wow.
And I think it was $8 an hour.
Some of them are off the 4-track too, Sergio was telling us.
Yeah, the Psychopathic Lover was off a 4-track.
You touched down on your experience with the keytar, and
Yeah, okay, first up, we never called it a keytar. We
Oh.
called it a strap-on.
Jared, get your strap on.
Oh man, just broke us for a few seconds
Oh,
there.
yeah, I got to recover from that
I
one.
gotta recover.
I never heard of a keytar until like maybe, I don't know, 2008. Somebody said it. I was like,
So
I
that's
didn't
what
heard of that. I always called it a strap-on.
You guys are really good with those strap-ons.
The way you two use those strap-ons together in harmony. Oh, man.
Too
I
much.
still have my strap-on.
So I gotta ask though, did you help with Jared in his learning of the strap-on?
Did you have a hand in teaching him anything?
No, I actually got the strap-on before him.
Yeah.
And then when he saw it, he was like, I gotta get one too. And I forgot how he did it, but I think he got his mom to help pitch in some money. And, you know, he always made pretty good money. Sergio was saying, you know, he could type really fast. I mean, so he always had these kind of high-end office jobs where he was like, you know, the long-haired or the freaky musician guy surrounded by, like,
All the preppy office
beautiful
people.
women.
Yeah.
He
Wow.
usually get a lot of women to come to the gigs.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes
Surrounded
sense.
it by-
Yeah.
So there's a dude who's calling in right now. Who goes by Beast, and he's one of the longest-running lovers of the Clue. He is a psychopathic lover of the Clue.
What's
if
going
you
on,
will.
Beast?
How you guys doing? Play the Clue. My question was, if you guys could have recorded or performed any cover, what would you have liked to have done in your time as the Clue?
Well, the first cover that I did, and it was actually in the very first Clue gig, and I did play guitar. I played guitar in one song of a cover at Clue gigs, and that was "I Will Follow" from U2.
Huh.
That's not something I would have expected from the Clue.
And then the other one that we played, I think, was Patti LaBelle, "Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?"
There we go. There we go.
That's what's up.
I want to hear that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right?
You know, there's probably a version of it somewhere. I don't know who the
man.
I don't know who the purveyor of the videos are. You know, back then it was so much more trouble to video. You know, now you just whip out your phone, but back then, you know, you had to get permission because the camera was, you know, the size of an ice chest.
Oh, absolutely.
No
And
doubt.
so videos were really hard to find. So that's why I was really happy when I found that Clue one, because I had no videos of performing with the Clue at all.
Yeah.
None.
Now, if you guys were to do a cover, which one would you want to do?
Well, you know, like I was saying, the Clue into Hotboxxx had very definite phases. Like when I first joined them, there was sort of this going from Duran Duran sound to going to more of a Prince sound. So everything just kind of evolved. It would be hard for me to say what we would have played. I mean, I think the more obscure, when we were in Hotboxxx, we played Brown Sugar from the Stones, Bitch from the Stones. One that we did play that's a really cool song that if you've never heard it, it's probably worth looking up. It's called Don't It Make You Feel Good from the band Chilliwack.
I'm going to look that up now.
Yeah. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, Chilliwack is from Canada. It's a great song. It's got a good groove.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah, Beast, play the Clue, bro.
Thanks, man. That's awesome. Play the Clue. That's anything I can do for you guys. Clue to take love.
Yeah, we were talking about the Tempe video that we did find from Joel Samuel, luckily, you know, and that was kind of a big show for you guys because that was like the farthest you guys traveled, right?
Yeah, totally. We called that the Aiken Hard Tour.
The Aiken.
Oh man,
God, that is so
better.
crucial.
That should be like Clay Aiken's tour.
Yeah, 'cause it was just Aiken, and it was, you know, it's so funny at the time because, you know, we were all struggling. We were all basically, I mean, it sounds bad and cliche, but we were really just basically kids. And I didn't have a girlfriend at the time, but at the time, Jared, Sergio, Darren, and Rob all had girlfriends, and the girlfriends wouldn't let the guys go without them.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like a big controversy because Jared made his girlfriend stay home.
I wonder why. I heard all those girls in the crowd.
He must have said, "You can't stay the night with me."
No shotgun.
I won't be your Superman.
The best part of the '80s, I think, is the style and everything. So, like, when Jared hit the stage and he's wearing that spandex, like, what did you think?
Sergio told us he didn't warn you guys about that. How did that take you?
Well, I have a picture, and I'm gonna forward it to you guys so you can use it. But it's gonna be a while because it's in my pod, and I'm getting my house remodeled.
For sure.
But I got a picture of both Jared and I. We were basically roommates at the hotel, so I knew what he was going to wear.
Oh, you had seen him already. Okay.
Yeah, and it was just kind of awkward. I remember because spandex was just kind of getting kind of popular, and it was more kind of like the hard rock thing. So it was just kind of, we were like, okay, I don't know. You know,
like, you don't look like you belong here, but okay.
I mean, that was pretty tame because we spandex hard when we got into Hotboxxx.
We've seen.
Yeah.
I'm talking, you know, purple spandex and women's boots.
Oh yeah, you guys were looking real proper there.
You were talking about Hotboxxx. Sergio touched on that when, you know, because we had asked him when Jared started going by Jared, and he said that's when you guys started Hotboxxx.
Yeah, and then he told us that his Jared kind of wanted everyone to have those nicknames like everybody had back then. What was yours?
I had nicknames. All of us had nicknames. In the Clue, my stage name was Kevin Middy.
Middy?
And Middy is
MIDI, the acronym.
Oh, nice.
Musical Instrument Digital Interface, MIDI. So that was it, because I was always talking about MIDI. So Jared's like, "You're Kevin Middy."
Kevin Middy.
And then just incidentally, I don't call Jared Jared. I mean, in talking with you guys, I do. I call him Shane.
Oh.
I called him Shane for 30 years.
Oh.
Wow.
So I mean, from the time when he took his name Jared Shane, I just started calling him Shane, which it's just bizarre. It actually leads to one of my nicknames. One of my nicknames is H. Just for some reason, and the way it came about was Shane and I were in the kitchen. We were roommates. I lived with him for a while, and I said, yeah, JH, but I meant to say JS. And when I said JH, he looked over me and he goes,
H.
"You're H.
You're a cow."
You're an H.
Just one of those classic roommate moments that sticks you with something.
And then the name stuck. I played in a funk band for a while called Gone Wild, and my stage name was H-Bomb.
H-Bomb. That's awesome. So was that your name in Hotboxxx, or which one was that?
Hotboxxx, that was Kevin Scott.
Kevin Scott? Okay.
Yeah, which is really bland.
He wanted everyone to sound like porn stars.
I am Sancho.
Apparently.
Yeah, it was, you know, that sort of, the 80s had a weird thing about, there was a lot of icing and candy, you know, a lot of, you had to have hair.
Right.
Oh, you had to have a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, you had to have hair. There were guys who auditioned for our band who, just because they didn't have any kind of look, I'm talking, you know, throw a hat on, dude.
You had to have the look. You had to have the look. You couldn't just come in there with talent or with you know, rock and stage performance. You had to look the part.
I feel like you could have slapped some glitter on your forehead. You know, go for it.
Well, exactly. And I do performance consulting now for artists. And every song, to me, if it sounds different, it should look different. And I believe an artist should be able to videotape their show and without hearing the sound, at any point know what song they're on because of what's going on visually.
Yeah, that's a very unique way of looking at it. But yeah, that's understandable.
Insider perspective.
Yeah.
I got to ask you something. You mentioned to us that there were certain discrepancies between the way you remember things and the way that Sergio told a few of them. Would you mind clarifying some of that for us?
You know what? I can't think of one offhand. Wait, I did take a couple notes, so let me see if I got them in my notes. Yeah, I can't think of anything offhand. I will say that, you know, in the Clue, the band was always broke. You know, cause you know, especially me, because I was like 19 and I couldn't really make any money, and I hated to live with my parents, so I moved out pretty quickly. So we were all completely, totally struggling to make money, and man, Sergio funded the Clue.
That's kind of what he explained to us. I mean, and it was over 30 years ago now, so I feel like you guys not having the same recollection of everything is almost impossible. You know?
He funded everything, and he's like a Superman. He was playing in a cover band, working full-time and going to school full-time at the same time.
I mean,
I can tell the dude has tons of drive. He's been a really successful dude, so.
yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, just like at that time, I was like, man, you apparently I must not want anything.
Well, see, and he pointed out that if he really wanted to be a rock star, he probably could have, but he just didn't want it enough.
Yeah, well, and any band that's an up and coming band, I mean, as you guys know, your first tours are going to be, you've got to be willing to kind of eat it.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to drive in a van with people for a very long period of time. In fact, that's what got me to quit my last band. I was in a band called Funk Rage and Soul, and we had some interest from Arista and a couple other labels. It was going pretty good. But then we did a gig at Marine Base in 29 Palms, which is about 2.5 hours from LA. And so I had the van and I had the trailer, so I was the guy who had to drive. And driving there, I decided I couldn't live with the singer of the band. I couldn't live with him.
Right.
I would strangle him if I had to live with him.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Well, I don't know how you can be in a band with him then.
Yeah.
No, that was at that point. I was like, okay. Apparently, I don't need to be in a band anymore.
Something bad's gonna happen.
and I don't like, I'm pretty easygoing, and I don't like to feel bad about people. But I just knew that there wasn't a lot of sense in pursuing that band if I couldn't even hang with the people, because that's one of the big things, in music is a band. You got to have people you can hang with.
Oh, absolutely.
Sitting around so much.
I wouldn't want to be in a band with people I didn't want to associate with outside of the band.
I mean, that's
ridiculous.
what happened. That's exactly what happened with me in the previous band that I was in, where the drummer started dating my ex-girlfriend. And it was like, well,
Just asking
okay.
for trouble.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I guess this band is over. Like, have fun. It's wise that you made the right decision to kind of take a step back and go, okay, assess the situation. This isn't working. And
okay, I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Me getting arrested.
Oh,
Actually,
we wanted to ask
yeah.
that's what we were going to ask you about when we came back from this call, was about the ice blocking incident. We wanted some definite elaboration on that.
Okay, so when I heard the ice blocking thing, I laughed so hard. I played it for my kids. I played it for my wife. That actually wasn't how it happened. Now, we did do that, but not that night.
Okay, tell us all about it. I want to hear the real story.
It's just stupid. No, we were just out on the golf course. I lived by a golf course, and like all my growing up, we did stuff on the golf course. The big thing we did at 10 years old was ditching the car. We would go throw rocks at his car, and then we would ditch him.
Oh, man.
Nice.
He had this old truck, and he would
I
take
can
us
relate
on the
to
golf
that.
course, and we knew all the secret fences to hop over, where we could get through somebody's yard to get to the street or whatever. And we did that for a long time. So this was sort of like, I was 19 at the time. We were all just hanging out. Obviously, there was some alcohol involved, and we were all just kind of hanging out on the golf course, and we just kind of were walking, talking, and myself and this guy Jason, we were just standing next to a tennis court talking, and these other guys that we were with came running by, and they yelled, "Run!" So we
Should have
ran.
yelled cops.
Yeah, that's what they needed to do.
5-0.
And then when we kind of got to a place where we could stop for a second, they showed me what they had, and they had candy bars.
Candy bar.
These knuckleheads broke into a snack shack for $3 worth of candy bars.
oh, wow.
Oh, see, Sergio said somebody else had broken into the pro shop, but it was actually your friends breaking into the candy store.
Let's even do it. I wouldn't even say my friends. I happen to be because
Some idiots I was with.
Well, it is. It's one of those things. My dad was saying, it's who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with troublemakers, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I was that trouble.
And I was with kind of troublemakers. And that was like the big mistake was this, I should have just stayed home.
So what culminated from that?
Well, then, so basically I saw the candy bars. I was like really pissed off. I was like, you guys can't stealing candy bars, whatever. And then we're standing in the street and we see a cop car coming with its lights off. And so we run. And we run into my friend Tim's house. And the police, since they don't have a warrant, they can't just walk into the house and arrest you.
Right.
So we just kind of laughed, haha, and stayed in the house. And in Tim's house, he had a big walk-in closet that we made it look like a regular closet. We just hung a bar across the front of the closet and hung clothes on it. And then you could sneak back into a little secret fort that we had.
Cool.
Nice.
And so I went in there, and I was in there for 2 hours. I don't know, for a long time. And I finally went, I want to go home. It was probably 3 a.m. by then. I was like, oh, no. And I opened the door to go out, and the police was just right there waiting for us to come out.
Oh my gosh.
And then he arrested me, and I got booked and all that stuff. But it was just one of those things where I had no problem even giving the names of the people who did it. I just kept saying, hey, I didn't do it. Hey, man, I don't need $3 worth of candy bars.
Right.
I'll go buy $3 worth of candy bars. It's candy. I don't need it at 3 in the morning.
Who steals candy bars?
That sucks.
So yeah, and then that was the day. That was the next night was our first gig at the Whiskey with the Clue, and our first LA gig at that time.
Oh man!
Yeah,
So
Sergio was saying it was a big deal, and you were about to miss it.
And Darren's mom put up her house for my bond.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that was really cool.
Man, you guys were tight.
Right, like real tight click.
Yeah, we were pretty tight, man. It was a good thing. Bands are interesting because it's kind of like work. When you leave the band, you don't always stay in touch, and that's one of the things that sucks because you really develop such great friendship.
You guys are my best friends, through thick and thin.
Right.
I wanted to get back to the change of direction from the Clue to Hotboxxx. How did you feel about it? Were you more of a were you just kind of along for the ride, or were you like let's do something different?
No, I was like turn up the guitar. We all kind of like fell into the whole L.A. Orange County music scene, and we were all like taken by it. We all wanted to be a part of this thing that was bigger than us. And so we all, it just kind of happened. We wanted to be what we were seeing.
And what you were seeing was like Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and all that.
Guns N' Roses really was the turning point, especially singing wise for Jared, especially when he heard that, he began to completely change his singing style. And there's a Clue song. One of these days, you guys might hear it. It's called "How Low Can You Go," and that was like the first Clue song. That was the last Clue song we ever recorded, and it was the first one where the vocals are getting a little meaner, and it was just right in that time. That was when he was kind of like experimenting with his voice and decided, knew that he wanted to go a little bit more aggressive. But yeah, so that's it. It was an interesting period when we were switching from the Clue to Hotboxxx. Basically, all that happened was the guitar started getting louder and louder. I mean, that's really like, surge, turn up, and then Jared kind of started developing his scream, not like, he in the Clue he had kind of like a Prince
Yeah,
scream.
not the shout, not the ah!
Yeah, and so he started to develop kind of like his
the yelling,
the metal voice.
Yeah.
And he actually went to a really famous metal teacher whose name's Elizabeth Sabine. I don't even know if he's still alive.
Oh, yeah.
But the metal teacher that taught like Axl and all these people, she's like $100 an hour, which is a lot at that time.
Yeah.
And he went to her, and she helped him get to some kind of place where he could scream and wouldn't lose his voice.
That's awesome. I think that's hopefully something we might be able to get our hands on here in the future. But you actually hooked us up with something crucial that we want to debut right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while since we've gotten any new music, and Kevin was cool enough to send us a song.
I feel like Not Like You, the song that you just sent us, is in a strange way kind of an anthem for all Clunatics.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, it's sort of, it is, in the storytelling fashion, it is, Jared's story, which is on a ton of his albums, which is, don't pick on me, leave me alone. And that's basically kind of what the story's about. I'm not like you, but maybe we can still be friends.
It's definitely going to be my alarm from now on. I'm going to wake up every morning.
I love the composition of it. The music itself is really good. The first couple times I heard it, I wasn't so sure, but it really grew on me. It's one for the outcasts,
Yeah, I really like Serge's guitar part in it too.
I love this part.
It's really cool.
Yeah, the music's phenomenal.
I gotta feel it sounds almost that it was recorded around the same time of Psychopathic Lover. It's kind of got that kind of raging guitar kind of
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I think it wasn't around the same time, but that whole period was just so fast, like, from the Clue turning into Hotboxxx and then, morphing into Live Urban Sex Tribe and that kind of stuff.
Brand new Clue song right now. Not Like You. This is The Big Deal with Southwest Clue Missioner, Secretary Kevin Comstock of the Clue.
All up in your ear holes.
Anthem.
Give it up for the Clue.
What the hell are you looking at? I'm trying to figure it out myself. I think you realize that your opinion matters. Well, it's not just my opinion. I could really care less.
Years later,
Right? Yeah, no doubt. This is The Big Deal with special guest Kevin Comstock of the Clue, Southwest Clue in the house, Clue Missioner. This is the Secretary. We have a dude who is actually calling in right now. His name is the Clue Daver. He's literally the lady DJ of Clunatics. He's number one. He is obsessed with the Clue.
We had the Clue Daver on episode 2 of The Big Deal calling in. He just, this guy goes so hard for the Clue. I love it. I love his enthusiasm. He
98% of his social media is the Clue.
Right.
That's awesome and kind of weird.
Right.
That describes him pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
What's up? It's good to be back. The question I have for you, Kevin, is I was wondering if you'd not necessarily do a tutorial, but if you still can, if you play the Clue, would you be willing to maybe do a video, maybe some like lady DJ?
Yeah, I think somebody sent me an email for that. And the only reason I hadn't, my house is being remodeled, I don't have an easy keyboard to get to.
Oh my gosh.
It easily could have been him.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I was gonna do it. I just, like I said, I haven't had the chance because everything's been way upended.
Yeah, whenever that's possible, man, that'd be great. I'd like to see it.
All right, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Love this part.
We all love this part.
All right, later.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I just want to touch on some of your favorite experiences. What was some of your, top moments of being a musician?
Well, the one thing that's really funny is, you guys talk about the spin that Jared does.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. We practice it.
On small stages, every one of us have gotten smacked in the head.
I don't doubt it because he's going all full whirlwind.
And Sergio, there was a time Sergio got smacked so hard he had a bloody nose.
Oh, man.
We've all smacked each other spinning in the pit.
There used to be funny things that would happen. So we didn't have wireless setup. So this is getting a little bit more towards Hotboxxx. So when we would play, we would kind of interact and we would kind of get our show going. And then after a few minutes, there'd be this kind of this mound of tangled cords, like being pulled in different directions by the people who got all tangled. We were always trying to not get tangled and to watch out for his hands.
Watch out for the hands.
Right.
Cluedo knows about the hands.
Oh, come on, guys. Low blow.
Jesus, what happened to your face?
That sucks. Oh, dude, did you go to the infamous Jared house party?
Which one?
The one where he had to call the cops to shut it down, his own party?
I think that was one of the Clue parties that I went to.
Yeah, because
and that party was hysterical.
Sergio said you guys played it, so I feel like you would have been there.
Before I joined it. This was when I was in high school.
Oh, you were just there. Oh my God. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go
it was at
ahead.
the party. It was like about about a half mile from my house. It wasn't very far. So I was at the party, and that party was hilarious. And there was this guy. While the band was playing, they had just this little light rig. It wasn't even really a light rig. It has 4 lights on it. And there was this totally drunk guy, like, doing lights by hand, like covering one lens, pointing one up, pointing one down.
Probably doing like little like shadow puppets.
What the hell are you doing?
I remember I thought it was just hysterical. I was like, why is that guy doing that? It was hysterical.
He thought he was so a part of the show.
Got some drunk guy waving lights around.
Like house lamps,
So, right when I joined the band, before I was in the band, I had 2 guitarists, Sergio, and then there was another guy, John Aiello.
Chocolate John?
Yeah. So anyway, it's just like a week and a half of me being in the band, we find out Johnny died. It was right before our gig, and Jared and Sergio wrote a song called Johnny, Where Are You Now? Really nice ballad about,
I wish we had that one.
And I have it. I get to see sometimes. The thing is, I'm hesitant to give them because I don't own the rights.
Right. Sergio does, correct?
I mean, I gave you Not Like You, and I figured, hey, somebody's going to come and chase me for it. Not a big deal. Sergio probably won't care. But I don't. It's not just as an artist. It doesn't feel right me giving the music that I didn't like.
Absolutely.
That's understandable. We because when we talked to Sergio, he seemed pretty open about everything. We give credit where credit's due. We've never claimed anything to be ours, or even Joel Samuel touched on that. He's like, just please give me credit for my work and what I did. And I told him, I was like, dude, we feature you in our podcast. I was like, we tell people to go check out your YouTube. So we're all about giving credit where credit is due. Absolutely. So I don't think Sergio's ever really had a problem with anything we've ever done. We're kind
Oh,
of
I don't think so at all. Sergio's super easygoing, man.
Right.
That guy's a great guy. I really had a great time in all the bands I played with him.
Now, see, Sergio mentioned that maybe this could spark him to get in touch with old members of the band. Do you think maybe that it would do the same for you?
Well, sure. I mean, you know.
I actually was curious about, because you had said that you and Sergio and Tony Centron formed a band after everything had kind of gone down. What happened when you exited working with Jared? How did that kind of happen, and how did that go down?
Leaving Hotboxxx, you know, how did you feel about it, and how did it transpire?
So anyways, at that time, I decided I wanted to go to music school. And so I started going to music school. It was called Grove School of Music, and it was right outside of Hollywood, and I moved to Hollywood. And at that time, the band Hotboxxx, or whatever version of it was rehearsing in Brea. And Brea is about 50 minutes away if there's no traffic, but in traffic, normal traffic, about 2 hours. And
yeah, we know LA is crazy like that.
We were rehearsing like 2 or 3 nights a week. So I would get in the car, and it was like we started rehearsal at 7, so I'd get in the car at like 4:30 or 5, and I'd sit in traffic, and I'd go all the way there, and we'd have this rehearsal. And it was a really bad time because everybody was mentally upset that we lost Tony and that we were having a hard time finding a bass player, and songs weren't really coming together. It was just not jiving. And then I actually made flyers that said keyboardists available, and I put them in Musicians Institute in Hollywood, and I started getting calls from people. And there was one band that I played with, and it was like the guitarist was from Australia, the drummer was from New Mexico, the bass player was from London, we had a flugelhorn player who was from Germany, and then me from America.
That's a crazy mix.
That's awesome.
And we rehearsed once and played a show. And not only played a show, played it really, really well. And the reason was they were really good musicians. And I got really full of myself at that point. I'm like, well, I drive to Brea, and it takes us forever to do one song. And I go with these guys, and I know a whole set in one night.
Right.
This is not working. So I got full of myself, and I quit.
Wow. So you just left. You were just like, hey, I'm out. I'm doing
Yeah,
this.
well, I had all these other bands I was playing with. So I was just like, you know, just driving all the way to Brea and not having a song was a problem.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like we're interested in anything from any part, you know.
Right, because I mean, obviously this is all about the Clue, but I mean, it's expanded with Hotboxxx and because with Lost.
I appreciate the full span of the works.
Yeah, because you guys are.
Hotboxxx was awesome. I know everybody likes Live Urban Sex Tribe. I wasn't in that band, so I'm partial. Hotboxxx is just freaking great.
Dude, Broken Hearts is an amazing track. I love that song.
We have very limited material from Hotboxxx, but I do think it probably has some of the best stuff.
And our live show was just awesome. We very rarely had a bad show.
That's what you can see with Lust. Speaking of live shows.
Live shows.
Okay, so basically we touched upon this with Sergio in the last podcast. It was something that we were curious about, especially after we knew that you guys were around, because we never thought we were going to hear anything from any of you guys. So pretty much what we had asked Sergio in the podcast was that if it were to be made available, if he would be down to do a Clue reunion show. And he kind of left it open like, hey, you know, it's pretty much on everyone else.
Right, get the word from the other members.
Yeah, so we kind of one by one wanted to talk to you guys, get your history of everything you guys did, because we're incredibly interested, obviously. But if it were possible, would you be interested in doing a few Clue reunion shows?
Well, sure.
Groovy. Oh, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, not a problem, man. They don't have a whole lot going on.
One blast from the past don't hurt anybody.
Right.
It would be legendary.
Dude, absolutely. And I think the more that we're making contact with former members of the Clue, I just feel like, you know, people really enjoyed this. And, you know, this is...
Still enjoy it.
Yeah, and, you know, this is becoming a big deal again. And I for one, love it.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. It's fun music. I mean, it's a little dated, but the songs are still pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, for people who appreciate music, it's not about it doesn't get dated, you know?
Yeah, very true.
It retains that strength that it held back then.
We appreciate you being on and just giving us all this information because we had a really good feeling that this would go as well as it has, and it's even been more of an experience. You enlightened us to things that, again, we had no idea about, so we truly appreciate it.
I just want to say my favorite moment, strap on. That's not what
yeah.
I'm going to call
Strap
it.
on.
Yeah, it's no longer a keytar.
That's now our
It's a
thing.
strap on.
Thank you for correcting us. We are excited to announce the next episode of The Big Deal, Episode 5, Clue Horizons, featuring another member of the Clue. We got a hold of him. He is so down for it. Darren Manassian, the bass player of the Clue, is going to be hanging out on The Big Deal, Clue Horizons. He's going to be answering some questions that we have for him because his experience with the band dates way back. He was Jared's ex-brother-in-law, I believe. He was with the band all the way up until Hotboxxx, so we're also going to be debuting a brand new Clue track. Haven't even gotten it yet, so it's going to be fresh. We're going to be talking to him. We're going to be talking to some callers.
We're going to talk to Kevin's mom.
Hey, give us their number. We'll
call your mom.
Call your mom. Give us their number. We'll talk to her. We'll see what she has to say.
Funny.
It's gonna be so we can't wait for the next episode.
There's some fun Clue songs. They're pretty funny.
That's sweet. Well, we can't wait to have him on. Talk to you definitely in the future. This ain't gonna be the last time we talk to you.
Well,
Right.
good, man.
You're not gonna be able to get rid of us now. Now we have your phone number. So
You know what? It would be maybe someday we'll all be selling this stuff on iTunes.
I just hope that I can see it performed live, and
That's the dream.
and that we all get to share a drink and
It would be so
probably
stressful
apparently a
because I'd
joint
have to figure
together.
out- It would be so stressful because I'd have to figure out what the hell I was playing.
That's awesome. Kevin, thanks for being on
You
The
are,
Big Deal, man.
what you're playing is the Clue.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's going to do it for this episode of The Big Deal. Locked, Comstocked, and ready to Clue.
Before we get out of here, I wanted to mention our newest member of the Clue MIDI. We announced this on the Facebook page a little while back, and Vicious.
The Clupervisor.
Clupervisor Vicious. This guy's been putting it down. He made that track Clued. He's made some amazing contributions to the page, and look out for big things from him because he's going to be a very active member of the Clue MIDI.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more action coming from the Clue page than you've maybe seen within the last year, but don't worry. What's going to happen the next year or two is going to be massive. The Clue will rise again. This is The Big Deal with Southwest Cluedo.
Yeah, play the Clue.
The Clue Missioner.
Yeah, baby.
And Kevin Comstock of The Clue.
Yeah, man. The Clue shall rise.
Go on, get.
This is the Secretary. The Big Deal. We're out. And make sure you follow us on Facebook.com/playtheclue. That's right, we did it. Woo-hoo!
That was the Clue, everybody.